Hi, Fran. Welcome to the circle.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you about all the home entertaining stuff because
Yay.
I love this subject. For our audience, you are a home entertaining lifestyle guru,
I am.
author of The Catalog, a coffee table book resource for entertaining, and the original owner of the Farm of Beverly Hills.
I am.
And the little mini chain of around LA. So, Fran, we were introduced by a mutual friend, Melinda, and she told me about the book and the launch and everything that you're going through right now, which sounds super exciting, getting this off the ground. And I looked through the book and, oh my gosh, like the photography is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I love all of the products in there. I learned about a lot of things that I hadn't, because I think of myself as being pretty adept with the entertaining things, but you had a lot of really cool things in there that we'll get into a little bit more.
Things that I loved.
So tell us a little bit about being a home entertaining guru and how did you get into that?
Well, I owned the restaurants for over 20 years. And so at the end of 20 years, it was time really to transition to a new space. I was 65 at the time, 71 now, 65 at the time. And
can we just stop and say, oh my God, girl, you look amazing.
Thank you. Mother's genes that I've taken care of.
Oh, there's hope
no
for us
sun,
all.
no sun.
Oh,
no sun and sunblock on the every day.
Okay, ladies, you're hearing this right here.
Yeah, and then I do a whole bunch of things wrong that you're not ever supposed to do to your skin. So.
Well, but I did see on your blog you do share tips. So
I do share tips.
You do share tips. There's some.
I do. So I was getting a divorce. I was just out of a very long-term marriage, and it was just time to pivot. Mm-hmm. And I've always entertained. We had a big home in Beverly Hills, and I have kids, and so there was always a let's do a barbecue on Saturday, and the 40 of the nearest and dearest show up, And how do you do that? And how do you get there? And how does it happen? And what things that come naturally to me and to you as an entertainer yourself, you don't realize what other people don't know. Mm-hmm. And that was brought up to me was, Fran, you don't know what you know and how many people want to know it. So to pivot and become that lifestyle guru, that luxury lifestyle guru and home entertaining specialist was a natural one. It was an easy switch.
Yeah.
And I got rid of the restaurants that I loved. I loved my restaurants.
Are you kidding?
It was 20 years.
Yeah, it was time. It was time. So yours is such a unique service. Give us an idea. I mean, how does this process work? I'm assuming that if you took me on as a client, you'd probably show up at my house.
I would.
And then what do you do?
Well, first I would have to find out who you are and why you're calling me. Mm-hmm. And that could be because you are transitioning out of a major career and have more time and want to really understand and know how to entertain. Could be because the kids are gone and you've gotten a divorce. Gone by out of the house. They're old enough to leave. And you've gotten a divorce and you did not want to keep your china that you got for your wedding 40 years ago. You want something new. You want something fresh. You want a new look on things. Mm-hmm. And where I have, a client who's a divorced guy with young kids and he's dating, but how do you make that house comfortable for him, comfortable for the women that he's bringing over, mm-hmm. comfortable for the kids when they show up, mm-hmm. and his are little. And then also I'm, for next year, I'm starting to really expand into the estate managers people. I'm not an estate manager, don't want to ever be an estate manager, but these people with the ultra wealthy clients have multiple homes. They don't want to see the same china in 5 different places around the world. Yeah. So let's talk about your lifestyle of where you are, what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And we go from there, and then I go through your kitchen.
Oh, okay. So you get in the
and
kitchen.
We start
what
there.
Are you looking for?
Well, you start first by your glassware mm-hmm. and your forks and knives, things that we use every day, mm-hmm. but we don't think about how they feel in our hand. Do we love it? It holds water. Mm-hmm. Everything holds water. But do you love the shape of it? Does it feel good in your hand? Do you want that same glass on your bar where you might love a good whiskey with a really big rock in it, but it's not going to look so great there? The experience is not going to be the same as if you have a phenomenal double old-fashioned heavy crystal with that gorgeous piece of ice in there.
So you
and then
take
your
into
good whiskey.
account what they like to drink and what
All
they
of
like
it.
to eat. And
Because it matters. I'm a wine and champagne girl.
yeah.
And so I look at champagne flutes. I look at all of that and the wine glasses. So it just sort of depends, but it drills all the way down to your coffee cup in the morning. There's a whole chapter in the book about coffee and the importance of that. And what people don't understand is it's not just the fact that the cup holds coffee. How does it feel in your hand? Is there a place to put your thumb? Is the thing going to tilt over when there's hot liquid in it? And that's all of what I talk to you about. And we go through how you want to live, and then I help you with that. I go and I show you the different options, and we start creating your whole new world.
Oh my God, I love it. So
It's
now,
so
do you
much
get
fun.
into do you get into the stuff like what food they should serve at a party or how to curate a guest list, or do you specifically focus on the environment and the equipment?
It's the environment, the equipment, because that's your experience, right? Yes, we've all seen parties where they've had phenomenal food and just a horrible group of people and nobody had a thing to talk about all night, right? So it's part of that environment is also having the areas. If you've set your table with some interesting pieces on the table, that starts a discussion. There's the beginning of your night. And how that discussion goes and where it goes and the stories behind that beautiful bowl that you brought back from your trip in Italy, that's how you have a good party.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the experience of it.
Yeah.
How it makes you feel.
Well, and I do love to entertain,
Yeah.
and I entertain, and I have a handful of friends that entertain.
Yeah.
But it's just a handful. I mean, and here in Orange County, I have so many friends with beautiful homes, and yet they're still very hesitant to entertain. What is it? Why? What do you think is the number one reason people are so hesitant?
They think it's hard. They think it's hard, and they think that they're not going to do it right, whatever right is. I think the Italians have a really good take on this whole thing. They are more than happy to stop on the way home at the market, pick up wine, cheese, bread, whatever, bring it home, invite a couple of people over, rip the bread apart, throw it on whatever plate you have, because in the end, it's the connecting and the communication and that sharing and breaking of bread, basically, together. And I think that people's biggest fear is they're going to do it wrong. And it's really difficult. And I'm here to tell you, as you are aware, sometimes it's more work, like when I do my caviar and champagne parties, and sometimes it's less work with the chili in the backyard. But it's always about the connecting and the group and the people. And I think that's what people are really afraid of. I know I have a whole, on my Instagram, it was interesting, I have a whole demographic of people in their 20s that follow me that I never thought would be part of my big demo. And I think that they are there because they're focused on Pinterest and, oh my God, what if I did it wrong? There's no wrong. It's the connecting. And I think that that's what makes people afraid.
I think, people believe that people are so much more critical than they are.
Yeah.
I'm so appreciative when somebody invites me to their home.
Exactly.
I'm not picking apart going, oh, you know what? Those bowls don't match. Or, we're having fun. I'm just so appreciative when people have me to their home. I love it. And
Completely.
I think people need to just bring it down a notch. I don't think people are as picky as they are.
It's agree.
Fun. It's an art form to do it well. And I think everybody appreciates that. But I think, we all need to just loosen up and have people over because it's such a different experience than when you're in a restaurant.
Completely. And I think that that's, when I had the restaurants, people loved what I did at the restaurant because the Farm of Beverly Hills is a casual space. And at one point there were 4 of them. And we had a commercial kitchen because we're quite famous for the brownies. They were in Gourmet Magazine February
Were they
2000.
really?
They were, yeah. We used to ship them around the world. I
Congratulations.
shipped to Switzerland
What are
and
in those
Japan.
brownies, girl?
5 ingredients.
That's it?
That's it. They're very simple. They're very dense.
Oh.
There's like no nuts, there's nothing extra, but you have to like something that a dozen weighs 5 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're like very intense dark chocolate. But people would say, how can I recreate what we have here at home? I want to do it at home, and it doesn't have to be hard.
No.
Bring the food to go, put it in your own bowl, that bowl that you think somebody's going to comment on. No, they just want the food that's in the bowl. They don't care about the bowl.
Unless it's the one you brought from Italy, and it's
unless it's the cool one from Italy, and then there's a story, and then yes, that would be great.
So what do you think what are the elements of a successful event or party at your home? What are the key elements, would you say?
Keeping people comfortable, and I think that it's the mix of people that you have. Because we all know that if you can keep conversation going, it's a better night. I think that you need to have something out immediately for someone to nibble on, because if they don't have something to say, if they've got something in their mouth, they're at least not feeling awkward. And I think that you want to always try and keep your guests not feeling awkward, And so food out, a good mix of people. Don't, if these are the things that you're asking me about, candles with no scent. Never scented candles. Well, because you cooked, your food smells good. I'm thinking that's what you want. That's the aromas that are inviting your guests in, not the tuberose that's on the candle on the coffee table that's fighting with the beautiful Italian meal you made.
That's cool. Right? What if it's like a cocktail party and you're not serving, lasagna?
Again, the problem is the scents on the candles. Candles are critical. It's the scented candles that are the problem. Okay. Have one in your powder room. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Have one maybe elsewhere, but not in the areas.
In the foyer when people first walk in.
Especially if you have a signature scent. I have I'm very particular about candles. I have a very sensitive nose. So for me, sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. Like I said, candles are really important for atmosphere. But the entry, the foyer is great. Don't carry them into the room because you don't know. Everybody's got perfume on that night.
That's so
right?
True,
We're all there dressed, especially now. We're happy to get dressed up.
Right. And it seems like a lot of people have sensitivities to fragrance these days, too.
People have a lot of sensitivities to love.
Right. We're getting so sensitive. Well, speaking of sensitivity, there's one thing that is like literally my biggest pet peeve.
Ooh.
And I got to tell you what
I got to hear.
When you go in, this can ruin a party for me.
Yeah.
If you go in and the lights are
bright.
Oh
my God.
And this is a mistake people make over
all
and over.
the time. That's why I said candles are critical for
right?
atmosphere. Yeah, yes. Critical. But the bright lights, it's a mood kill. Yeah, you can't.
No. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making?
Loud music.
Too loud, right?
Too loud.
Where people can't have a conversation.
Loud music, or you may love rap, but it's not conducive to a party. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just not. Not unless you've got 10 people that are trying to hear a band, then you're all going off to their concert later, then okay, you're setting the mood and off you guys go to that band's concert. But loud music that's not quiet, that because the music is part of your atmosphere, you want it behind the scenes, right? Yeah. That's my biggest, bright lights and loud music.
Well, it's so funny you say that because I read an article in Men's Health. And, it's like Ask a Bartender or something like that. And the guy said, when I bring a woman over to the house, what's the best music I should play? And he said, music she likes. Yeah. We've gotten into this whole thing where you go to people's houses and they play, the music that they specifically like, but it may not be popular music or something that's, I always think, I think about the guests who are coming and I try to choose music that's going to be, broadly accepted amongst the people, or try to choose something that's a little bit more mellow.
Right. Exactly. I'm a big country music fan.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that about me. I love country music. I'm not necessarily going to play that for a party.
Yeah, right.
I don't have a lot of friends that love it like I do.
That's so true. So, I noticed that the data that was coming out of the pandemic year, right,
Yeah.
is that a lot of people were spending time at home.
Yeah.
And they were doing home improvements. I
Yeah.
mean, workers, it's still hard to get people to come help you with your house.
Yeah.
Are you thinking that trend helped the home entertaining thing?
Completely. Yeah? Completely. I think that it made everyone aware how important having those people over, or being with those people, either at your home or theirs, how critical that was for our own joy in our own lives. I think it feeds the soul when you've got those connections with the people that are important to you.
Yeah, you're right. Because we heard a lot on the news about how people were feeling so disconnected when they were, quarantining.
We all did, yeah. I got a dog.
Yay!
Yeah, well, I flew to Florida for it, but I got
Did you really?
I did. I flew to Florida in November of 2020.
Oh my gosh! Well, how'd that work out for you?
It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah, the dog's great.
Oh,
Freddie Mercury, he's great.
I know my girlfriend adopted, I guess some of the pounds were doing adopt a dog. You could bring them back, they were saying, after COVID, if you just needed to have some. Of course, nobody brought them back, right?
You'd be amazed what's coming back to the pounds. It's really horrifying.
Oh.
People got COVID dogs, and then they didn't understand that if you get a pet, that's like a commitment.
Yeah.
And these poor dogs are getting surrendered, and it's awful. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's a great,
It's awful.
And speaking of pets, is it a good idea to incorporate your pet when you have guests over? Do you put them away? I mean, what's the etiquette for pets during home entertaining?
Well, it depends upon if you have, an 85-pound Akita like I used to have, or if you've got an 11-pound Freddie Mercury like I have now.
Yeah.
Freddie he thinks he's part of the whole thing, and he's much easier to deal with. My big Akitas, I used to close the door on. Yeah. It depends, Yeah. And especially even if you're having something outside or whatever, the little dogs aren't, unless they yap. I can't do yappy dogs. Yappy dogs. But there's food that's set down on a table. There's things that are within reach. And I love my dog. I don't want him eating off my plate.
Yeah.
Well,
I just don't like when you go and you're all dressed up and you come into somebody's house and their dog's like jumping on you, or,
completely. And it's like, no, I didn't want to scrape these pans.
And then, you feel obligated to like pet the dog, but then now you want to wash your hands because you're picking up finger food.
Yeah,
so
it's rough.
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to putting the dog behind the door.
Yeah. I usually tend to prefer
I'm not
when
adverse
people do
to that at all.
So when Chris Gialinella was here, group publisher of Modern Luxury,
yes.
and
you love Chris.
I love Chris. We had so much fun in that interview. But one of the things that we had talked about were some of the trends that he saw coming down the pike. And one of the things that he mentioned, which I thought was really interesting, is that they're seeing a real push towards outdoor spaces. So a lot of people are creating more, sometimes it might be a yoga space, it might be an entertaining space, but trying to incorporate more outdoors into their daily living.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing in terms of home entertaining? Are there specific things that you're seeing that people are doing more now that they used to not, or...
Well, I think that because of that outdoor situation, because of the year that we just passed out of, and people are trying to have their friends and group over, but more people are more comfortable outside than in still in some circumstances, depending upon where you live. And so those outdoor parties, or the ones that the food might be just before you get outdoors, but everybody's seated outdoors. You need to make sure you have heaters, of course, and all of that, and blankets for your guests when they sit down, and not freezing benches. But the outdoor, which then creates a more casual atmosphere. It's the barbecues and the grilling of stuff. And then
we are getting so casual. I mean, especially here in California. I don't know. I can't speak to the East Coast. But, I mean, we're getting casual in every way. I mean, we had David Heil, celebrity clothier here, Clothing is getting very casual. And even in interior design, right? We're getting restoration hardware. The couches are so deep, you practically lay down when you sit down, right?
You have to.
Everything's
way
getting
too
very
deep for me.
casual.
I'm vertically challenged, and it's a whole thing. I am. So 5'2" is vertically challenged. Well, I used to be 5'2". I think I'm 5'1" now. But
going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's not right. It's not right at all. But I think that it has become a lot more casual, almost to the detriment. I'm going to theater tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going like this. I have high heels on and a nice sweater and a little bit of jewelry. But I will see people there in jeans and T-shirts, and it hurts me to see that. It's just oh, God, did you have to?
Yeah. Well, and I think that formal entertaining in your home does require a lot more. It requires a lot more equipment and plates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's gonna come a point where people are just not doing formal entertaining in their home anymore? Or how often are your clients asking for that type of entertaining guidance?
They're generally asking for something they can use both ways. So I'm not going to give them a plain white, just say Pottery Barn plate, which is a great plate. But if they're going to want something more interesting, that I'm going to then be able to add maybe something out of an estate sale or something fun to make that table a little bit fancier for the girlfriend that's coming over, or the kids when it's just, grilled cheese sandwiches. It needs to kind of go both ways. So that's a little bit of what I've got in the book, is how you can add stuff to what you already own.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we do with our clothes, where you can just kind of do a gorgeous pair of leather and you can either dress it up or you can put it on with a T-shirt and
out the door with a pair of tennis shoes. Yeah. Exactly right.
I love that idea.
Exactly right. It's fun. And then it makes it fun. It's not so serious.
Yeah. Which is what we need to
get there.
With.
Exactly.
Yes.
Agreed.
So in the 90s, I was given a book by my sister-in-law, Micheline, Martha Stewart's Entertaining. And I got to tell you, Fran, that book changed my life. It really did. I just became such a big fan of Martha Stewart. And of course, I used to watch her show on Sundays. And not only did I fall in love with Martha Stewart, but it made entertaining seem doable. She made everything seem kind of like it was easy. And that if you could just follow these, simple steps. And were you into Martha Stewart? Did
love her. Yeah. I am so in awe of what she's created. I think that she's done an amazing job of showing people exactly what you say. It's easy to make that cupcake. It's easy to create that pot of stew. It's easy to do those things. Just follow these 10 steps.
I mean, she did one about a floral arranging that, as simple as floral arranging is, which actually it's not very simple. Floral arranging can be difficult. Yeah. But I just remember this one little thing that she said. She says, strip off all the leaves that are below the lip of the
water
vase.
Level.
It's such a basic thing, but I had never heard that before. And it changed my floral arrangement so much better now, right? Your water doesn't get all murky and green.
Well, exactly. It's disgusting because all they do is float in the water and then become just slime, basically.
Your water
they become
smelly.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's nasty. But those are the tips that are important for everybody to know. Yeah.
So when people compare you, which I'm sure they do, compare you to Martha Stewart, how do you differentiate yourself?
I'm a little bit more to the luxury side. Okay. Well, a lot more to the luxury side. Martha Stewart does amazing for the vast majority of people. I'm more of an aspirational look, and for many people, it's how they live. But I'm more into the luxury end of the products and things. So it's like that.
Well, speaking of these gorgeous products and things, here's the book. It's so beautiful. And inside, you've got really beautiful photography that I understand. Well, there's Isaac's picture
there's
right
my
there.
son's photos. Yeah, if you see a picture of me, Mr. Isaac did it.
Flatware, you've got place settings, glassware. I mean, really, really gorgeous photography.
Thank you.
And I liked how some of the photos you have you sitting at the table and you can kind of see how you've gotten it set up and glassware. I mean, really beautiful things. How did you choose the pieces that actually went into the book?
It was funny when I was talking about the book with my manager and we were discussing what it was going to be. And she said, you just need to go and look and the book will become. And I went to the places that I love to find things. And I would say, I want to take a picture of that and that and that. And it was, as you see in the book, some of it's barwares. There's a whole chapter on cool things that didn't fit sort of anywhere, but they're cool.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you see.
That was one of my favorite chapters.
I know, right? Those are the things. Did you like the leather-covered espresso maker?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too. Those are the things that you see at a store and go, oh God, I love that, but I don't know where I'd put it. So I'm going to leave it here. And then you go home and kick yourself because you go back to the store and it's gone. There was a wood salad bowl in there that's in the salad section. And it's a burl that the artist has hollowed out. When I returned it from photographing it, it was sold that day. And there's only one of them.
Yeah, right.
So I'm here to tell you, if you see something, buy it. But these are all things that spoke to me. Someone said, well, why is that picture on the cover? Why pick that George Jensen photo or the picture of that George Jensen picture? And I said, the grace of the lines spoke to me. And that's what's in the book.
Yeah.
These are just things, coffee cups that I loved. You'll see all kinds of different shapes and colors and different brands, and they're all there for a different reason. That's how it happened.
When somebody picks up your book and they go through it, what would you like them to come away with? What is your hope that is going to be evoked from this book?
I want them to see so many options of all kinds of things that they can incorporate into their life to add to what they do anyway, or maybe what they want to be doing, to see that that thing exists. They might not have known that there was a brand that I mention in here, that I photograph in here. They might not have been aware of it, but that they love the shape of the thing that's in the book. I want them to understand that there's something out there that will speak to them.
Well, there's a broad range of things in the book.
There is.
And I think I came away with, thinking, this is so much more than what you normally see if you're just walking through a department store or something like that, that there is a whole world. And if you go out and you actually apply yourself to looking for it, and thank God for you, because you know exactly where to find everything. Where do you shop?
There's a few stores in LA that I hit besides my regular brands. I mean, there are certain brands that I love. I spend time at Geary's. I spend time at Table Art LA on Melrose. He's very artistic, Walter. You'll find some really unusual artisans and artisanal potters and things in his store. But Mud Australia is a great place for it's a pottery out of Australia, and they have 11 to 14 different colors of the same thing. There's a photograph in here of the coffee cups, the 4 different colors of the coffee cups, and that's out of mud. They're very reasonably priced, and it's so cool to put that all together. So I find things sort of everywhere. My eyes always open for it.
Yeah, I love that. I was at Between the Sheets the other day.
Oh, yeah.
They have so many beautiful
so much stuff.
Table setting stuffs.
Yeah.
And
that's,
everything.
I think, what's confusing to a lot of people. I have a client who loves to drink wine, but the thought of trying to pick a wine glass I did a video on white wine glasses, and there were 30 sitting on a coffee table that I talked about, but I could have brought home 60. And for this client, it's just overwhelming, horrifying. I can't even see it anymore because there's 60. What do I do? So in that discussion that we were talking about at the beginning of the whole interview, I find out more about them, and then I'll bring them 3.
Right.
Well, you can pick from 3.
Right.
You can't pick from 60.
Right.
I do that.
Well, and knowing their personality really is important in that
And that's
case,
what
right?
speaks.
Are they a simpler person? Are they somebody that really wants to wow? Like, what's their goal?
Exactly. Do they mind that the glass weighs 5 pounds without anything in it? I personally mind that, but they may love it, and that's fine.
So what designers do you tend to gravitate to in your own collection, your own home?
Well, I mean, I'm designing my own wine glasses, so I'm excited about those.
Yes,
Those are going to be my first products, first quarter this 2022. The champagne flutes are coming first. They're hand blown out of the Czech Republic.
Oh my gosh.
They're light and airy and graceful and beautiful.
So light is important to you.
Because if you think about it, if you're going to put liquid in there, it's going to add weight.
Yeah.
Water's heavy. Wine is heavy. So if you want to hold that wine glass and not grip that wine glass, right? Which if you have a very heavy crystal wine glass, you're going to have to grip because now you've added 6 ounces of liquid in there, right?
I do like a heavy spirits glass, though. Like a rocks glass. I like a little weight there.
I don't know if you noticed what was in the bar end, but those are heavy DOFs and highball. I like a good heavy crystal for that. I'm a vodka drinker, but I'm a straight vodka drinker. I like it over one big rock and a lemon twist, and don't add anything to it.
Don't screw up my vodka.
Don't screw up my vodka, but it's good vodka. I like a potato vodka, but for that, it's the same thing like your spirits glasses. That glass has to be weighted and heavy, and it adds to that experience of sipping your, for me, vodka.
It's so true. It's so true. Well, and considering like who's going to be drinking too, because let's face it, it's probably more men that are going to be drinking a whiskey.
Absolutely.
More than a woman, and men have bigger hands.
They do,
and they kind of like want something like that. I noticed that I like a smaller coffee cup. I like a lighter coffee cup. And yet I've had male guests and family members come over and they're like, don't you have anything bigger? And so it's funny, it's like depending on the shape of your hand, your body, and all that.
Your fingers have to fit in those coffee handles. The fingers have to fit. Personally, I understand the thought of a smaller cup. The coffee stays hot and then you can get more.
Yeah.
You don't have to have, but I have to tell you that one of my favorite casual coffee cups is a big old mug. All 4 fingers get in there. And I, can hold it with the other hand.
Cuddle with
that coffee mug. Exactly.
So, looking through this, though, we know these products can be very pricey. These are not
some of them are quite. There's some
expensive.
bucciolati in there that's quite.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes I splurge on some like nicer pieces, but what about for the person who's a little more value conscious?
Yeah.
Are there still good products out there that maybe be a little less expensive?
Well, there are. There are some good products out there, and the other thing that I would suggest is that you go to estate sales.
Yeah.
I love good estate sales and secondhand stores. I will tell you that for instance, in Denver, my sister lives in Denver. Denver, for some reason, the people in their 30s don't want their grandparents' silver and crystal and all of that. So all of their secondhand stores are just filled with the most amazing stuff. I've gotten some amazing silver trays for nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
you are speaking my language right now, Fran.
Stores.
I obsess over, first of all, vintage glassware. I mean, I think I collect glassware. Every time I go to Europe, why glassware? Why can't I bring something easy to pack?
Right, no.
But I bring something back from Europe because you go to these flea markets and stuff in Europe, and you can find these things from like the 50s and 60s for like cents on the dollar.
Exactly.
It's just unbelievable. And to your point, even locally in some of the vintage and thrift stores, you can find beautiful silver platters. And, I have a whole cupboard full of silver in there.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you a funny story. So one day I was shopping in a thrift store with my ex-husband, or he wasn't shopping. He came in to get me.
He came in, right. There you go.
Are you done yet?
No.
And I found this gorgeous set of china that was green around the butt with a gold rim. And I thought, you know what? This is just, and I'm getting it. And it's, it's cheap. It was probably like $100 for the entire set, right? And he's like, honey, we can afford, to get you some real thing. I'm like,
that's not it.
That's not it at all. I love it.
Yeah.
And when we went through the divorce, he was looking for the green china. Just saying.
You didn't give it to him, did you? He didn't get that green china, did he?
He did not get the green china.
Good. No, I love secondhand stores. It's my favorite thing. I was at an estate sale, and I have these footed glasses. You'd love them. They're about this big. Something that you might put some not some ice cream, but some sorbet in, or maybe an orange juice glass on a brunch or something, a little low foot on it. And was an odd number because, as you know, at estate sales, there's never the full set. You don't know. So there was like 9 or 11 or some weird number.
And always buy the extra one.
Whole thing.
Because you never know if you're going to go home and break one and,
and you
I
will.
only need 6. I'm not going to buy 9.
Oh, no,
buy
never.
All 9.
Buy it all. So, well, 6 isn't a number. We know that. So I brought them home and they were like $60 for 11 of them or something. I don't know. And I'm washing. And I'm looking at the bottom of these things, and they're signed Lalique. They were signed Lalique.
My goodness. Wow.
I had to actually Google what that signature was supposed to look like, thinking it was something fake. No. You never know what you're going to find.
No.
Never know.
You never know.
I love those stores.
So one of another observation that I've made in going to people's houses is how important the layout of your house is in terms of entertaining. Yeah. And a lot of times I don't think builders are really taking that into consideration. Like having a space large enough to congregate. And so every room is not like broken up into little rooms.
Agreed.
The proper placement of where a bar should be. I mean, I moved into this house. I built out that bar because the only bar was upstairs in the family room.
No.
When are you going to bring your guests all the way up to your family room to entertain?
Never.
Do you work with your clients if they're building to help them figure out a proper layout for entertaining?
I am always happy to do that. What they don't know perhaps about me, I built 4 homes, so I can read plans really well. And there was a point where I actually had to count how many door hinges I needed. So, and the layout of your kitchen, layout of where the rooms are, if the bar is convenient, all of that. I love to work with architects on that. People don't know how important that is. You're right. They're not clear. And the architect is just putting a bar someplace where there's a space for the most part.
Exactly.
They're not really considering the usefulness of the space. I would agree. No, I love building. Plans for me are fun. It's that detail that gets me excited. I know, it's weird. I know.
Well, but one of the things too that in my last house, we built the last house, and when I went in, there was no like back area. There was no place to like put stuff, because sometimes you don't want everything out to public view, right? So we actually created like a little kind of it was a hallway. It was a service hallway, but it was so perfect because, you could do your scullery there. The staff had a place to kind of
stack
emerge.
Stuff.
Yeah, because it is hard. We're casual and we love these open floor plans now, which are great, but you kind of need some behind the scenes space.
You need a
so
space to hide.
Pantry, a little area to keep stuff is going to be important.
Completely agree. Dirty dishes aren't pretty.
No. And you don't want to be washing them right there in the middle of the party.
Definitely not.
Okay, so I want to get your guidance on a few entertaining questions.
Okie doke.
So these are things that I come up with, and I figure if I'm thinking of them, maybe other people are thinking with them too. So let me get your input on this.
Okay.
Setting the table with spoons. So at a casual dinner, I always do it. I always put the spoons, fork, everything that you're supposed to put out. But then at the end of the dinner, I'm collecting all these unused spoons. And at some point I thought, I should just omit the spoons, but I'm so worried about not doing it correctly. What are your thoughts about that?
Again, are you going to use the spoon for whatever meal you're putting out? If you're not using the spoon, if you are not serving coffee where you need that teaspoon, if you're not serving soup where you need the soup spoon, leave them in the drawer.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I'm just a firm believer in keeping it simple, stupid.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know what? I read Miss Manners' thing in a magazine years ago, and it was a question about, I think it was about using your hands when you're cracking lobster or crab.
Yeah.
And they're saying, is it okay to use your fingers? And she said, when it comes to those types of things, logic is your default.
Yes.
If logically it's just too difficult to do it, it's okay to default to logic.
Absolutely.
So I love that. And that one, we're defaulting to logic.
And actually your hands are some of the best tools in the kitchen.
Right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, especially with crab. You don't want to get a shell in your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, chargers.
Yes.
You see this used both ways. Some people believe the charger should be removed from the table before the dinner plate is set down, and some people put the dinner plate straight on top of the charger. What are your thoughts?
Personally, you bought that charger because you loved that charger. It adds character and color to your table.
It does.
I'd leave it there and serve everything on top of that charger.
Well, plus it takes away one less step because you
exactly.
make it pretty and then you got to take
And
away
then
the
you're
pretty
destroying.
before you.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Yay, I feel better about that one.
Leave them down. Leave them down.
Okay, so place cards.
Yes.
I am a big fan of place cards because I believe in creating an environment. You kind of understand who should be sitting next to who you may not.
It's an art.
It is kind of an art form.
It's an art.
But there might come a time when there's too few people to set place cards. So what's the appropriate amount of people? I mean, can you do it for 6, 8, 10? Where do you start?
6, I think, is too few people to even deal with a place card. You're all going to be staring at each other anyway. Place cards, I think, are really good when you get into the 8, sort of the borderline 10, because then you're not able to have the 6 people and just discuss, talk amongst yourselves kind of thing.
Right.
You're then turning to the person next to you or whatever and having a discussion with them. You might then include the person across from you. But 10, I think, 8 is like, well, if you want to.
Yeah.
10, I think it's a good plan.
Yeah.
It helps conversation at dinner.
I totally agree. I like it. Okay. You're doing a cocktail party.
Okay.
It's kind of more of a smaller cocktail party. So it's not really enough people to justify hiring a bartender. But is it okay to ask your guests to serve themselves at the bar?
I think it's brilliant. I love it. You can even make it fun and a game and set out, say, a batch cocktail and all of that along with your vodka, your gin, and your basics, because maybe I don't like your mixed drink. We've already discussed the fact that I drink vodka.
Straight.
But when you set up your bar, then you put all of the olives and the lemon, the twists and all of that out, and people then get to drink what they want to drink. And
it also gives them something to do, because I think at parties sometimes people are looking to like mix it up or have a reason to walk away from a conversation,
or to go to the bar.
Yeah.
Or to go to the bar. And then they look at what you're drinking and go, that looks really good. What is that? And then it starts a conversation.
Yeah. I saw your little video about the wine charms and the glass charms.
Yes.
So, okay, we all know about wine charms, but if you're drinking, and there's so many stemless wine glasses now. I've kind of gone to stemless wine glasses, as we can see here. But I loved your little clips that actually clip on top of the glass. I had never seen that before.
Aren't they fun?
Those are so fun.
And they can come all kinds of ways. A girlfriend of mine got me some that's actually, they're the bodybuilders from Venice Beach, and they sit there like,
oh my
they're really
gosh, how
funny.
cute.
Yeah.
I
Animals,
like that.
colored things, all kinds of stuff. They're important.
Okay. I do like those. There was one that I saw too that had they almost look like fruit. They're little
they are
silicone
fruit, actually.
or something.
They are fruit.
Are they?
Yeah, they are fruit. And they just sort of sit on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are fruit.
Super cute.
Anything that'll keep it separate.
Yeah. No, because that is a problem, because you end up wasting a lot of alcohol if people miss their glass and then they just go back because they're like, I don't know which of these glasses are mine. Next thing you know, I have all these dirty glasses and a bunch of wasted alcohol.
And all I'm drinking is vodka. So
Yeah.
it really could have been out of the same glass all night.
Exactly.
God, I sound like a lush. That's not good.
Well, I do know you like your bubbles too.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so disposable glassware. This is something that I struggle with sometimes because, let's face it, sometimes it's just a lot to try to keep track of all of this glass. And I'm always going, okay, when is it okay to use disposable glassware, and what are your parameters about that?
To me, it's how casual the event is.
Okay.
So if I'm sitting at my table, no. But if I'm serving chili outside, that's a maybe.
Okay.
If I'm grilling burgers, it's a definite plastic. It depends, I think, on the event and how special or precious your food is. I'm not adverse to them.
I like, especially the new ones that look like stemless wine glasses.
Really nice.
They look really nice.
And
They're
there
beautiful.
are stemmed ones as well. Yeah, they're really nice.
Sometimes those
are
kind
of weird.
Yeah. Can we agree that no solo cups?
Please don't.
Oh my gosh.
We left those at 18, didn't
Right?
we? College,
Yeah,
red solo cups.
We don't serve in your home. And
I don't do drinking games, and I don't serve red solo cups.
Okay. See, kids, I told you.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, as long as we're on the questions, we do something here called Big Questions.
Okay.
And this is where we get to dive a little deeper and learn a little bit about you. So tell me, do you have any like daily routines?
Well, I do.
Mhm.
Besides my exercise that happens every day, I'm in the gym 3 days a
Oh.
week. I do Pilates 2 days a week. Freddie has to have a several mile walk at least once.
So
And
that's
then,
how you keep so young looking. I knew it. It's that diet and exercise. I knew it.
oh, diet, not so
No,
much.
not
I'm a
just-
seafood diet. If I see it, I generally eat
Oh,
it.
okay.
So
Those brownies.
yeah. But then I've done a video, and part of my book is the very first chapter is about coffee. And I think for me, that ritual of starting my day, and it might be tea for someone, but for
Mhm.
me, it's a cup of coffee. I'm able to start my day. I set my intentions for the day. I look at my calendar for the day
Mhm.
because if there's one thing I am, it's organized.
Mhm.
I'm a whack on that.
Yeah, you kinda have to be.
I like to be really prepared, capital letters, bold, underlined, and then my day becomes easy. I have to see if I'm entertaining tonight, or if I'm going someplace tonight, or if today's my day to hit the grocery and I'm prepping food tonight to throw in the fridge. So that's my routine in the morning. Exercise,
Mhm.
come home, sit down with that beautiful cup of coffee that I've made in that cup that I love, right?
Mhm.
And set my intentions for the day and look at my calendar and really prepare.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about in the evening? Do you do any rituals?
What I end up doing after dinner is I come home, I strip because everybody wants to get out of all of this, right? We're like done with it.
Mhm.
Shoes have to come off, everything else comes off. And I put my feet up and I cuddle with my dog, and I have to watch mindless television. Don't tell anybody that either. Okay. All the Real Housewives stuff. It's like a bad routine at night, but
yeah.
you
It's your way
know,
of unwinding.
it's my way of just shutting down. I like to say, well, I don't like to say it, but it's an admittance. I have a circus that runs around up here, and I need to quiet it.
Mhm.
You know, it's one of the reasons why I've never been very successful at meditating. Tried it, really tried hard.
Have you done guided meditation?
And I can do it once if I'm at a spa someplace and it's a thing. I love bowls. I love those singing bowls. I love chimes. I love all of those things. And at about 20 minutes in, it starts in, well, did you shut off that? Or did you,
Well, 20 minutes is fine. That's
well,
it.
I'm
You can
happy
get 20
at
minutes.
10, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's,
well, my
yeah.
next question is tell me something people would be surprised to know about you, but you already told us two of them.
Yeah. There's a couple things though.
Okay.
One is I'm basically a shy person.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not quite sure if it's because I moved so much all of my life, my dad being in aerospace or not, but basically a shy person, but I'm also an ex-dancer. So I'm one of those kids that all the little girls, they start dance, but I was my major in college. So it was 18 years all the way through. And so you learn, there's a lot of rehearsal. Again, it's back to the organization and the making sure I'm seriously prepared for my videos, all of those things. And for me, I know that if I am over prepared almost, then it's easy and I'm fine in front of the camera. I was fine on stage because I was over rehearsed. So people don't know that, but now I'm going to tell you a fun fact.
Okay.
I mentioned briefly that I love country music.
Yeah.
Right. But what you may not know is that I also love a good dive bar that serves tater tots and a honky-tonk music and country music and boots up, good-looking cowboys, right?
Yeah.
And I'm there,
nothing wrong with
crispy
that.
tater tots, man, and country music and a good dive bar. So there you go. A
Yeah.
few things nobody knows.
There you go.
And now everybody knows.
All right.
But,
well, I'm going with you. So you let
yes,
me know.
please. Absolutely. I love company.
Tell me about something that, we talk about winding down at the end of the day. What keeps you up at night? What are the issues that you think are some of the bigger ones that we're facing right now?
For me, it's the inability for people to communicate. I think it's the inability to allow someone, the other, to have a different opinion than the one that you have. I think that there's so much judgment. You're wrong. I'm right. You can't be right. I have to be right. You're bad because you're wrong. Right. And I think that it's important, and what we're all missing is the listening to the other. You may not agree, but let's agree to disagree. And I think that we've lost that.
Yeah.
It's the communication, the lack of communication, and it's becoming a dangerous world because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think we're teaching it to our kids. I think that and that's what keeps me up, because my kids are of that age. They're getting married and going to have babies eventually. And I worry about that. I worry about, because I don't know about you, but my group of girls, and I have a really strong group of girls, and we don't all agree politically, and we don't all agree, but we allow the other to have that opinion. We find the spot where we come to the middle.
Yeah. Find
and I
commonality.
think that, and that's what keeps me up at night, the lack of that communication.
Yeah, I agree. My last guest was Rick Reef, Pulitzer Prize winner journalist, and he said the same thing.
Did he?
Yeah, he said that he's
Great
really
minds.
concerned, right?
Yeah.
But it is something that's important, especially for people who are in the public eye, right? Because you have to become so much more sensitive about the fact that, everybody around us is our community. You don't have the option of segregating yourself into one small bit. You have to be able to communicate and operate in a wider, broader community. And it's a tribalism that's kind of taken over, where people feel like they have to represent their whatever. Yeah. And
hate the other.
Yeah.
Whatever the other is, and I think it's a problem.
Yeah.
I think it's a big problem.
So something we all have to work on and be mindful about.
Communicate.
Yeah. Tell me something that you used to believe but you don't anymore. This is one of my favorite questions, by the way.
Well, I would never in a million years have ever believed that at 71, I would be an influencer, a brand expert, a TV personality, someone helping people entertain, an author, for God's sake. In a million years, I would never have believed it. And yet here I am.
Do you think that it's because that you didn't think that you were capable of it, or you just didn't believe that that's what people did at this stage of their life? What's so surprising about that to you?
I didn't think it was me. I didn't think it was me. And it's been such a joy to discover that it is.
Yeah.
It has absolutely made all the difference in the world to me to be able to do all of these things. I find it so much fun. My manager says, Fran, don't text me on a Sunday. I'll have to answer you if you text me on a Sunday. Don't do that. And I'm like, well, but the thought came to my brain on a Sunday. I was going down that rabbit hole of the internet, and I discovered this thing, and you need to know. And she's like, don't, just make a list. Tell me Monday. But I do it 7. I work more hours now than I ever did owning 4 restaurants. And I love it. Of course, I don't have 200 employees either. So.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, especially these days, are looking for career changes. They're looking for what is their next stage, right? So much transition occurred. A lot of, I call it silver linings, because I think we all got to take a pause and reanalyze, reevaluate.
For me, it was
right.
Huge silver lining, and people say, well, how do you just do that? And I always tell them, you just have to do that first step. You just have to go, you know what? Oh my God, there's the edge, but I'm going to step off because the alternative is stuck. I don't want to be stuck. I like being involved. So I'm going to step off that ledge and see what happens. And if I don't like it, I can always step back.
Right. Yeah. Or sidestep.
Or or, a 45 or something.
Yeah.
But I think that fear holds people back. And I think that your comment about silver lining is absolutely correct, because the worst thing is you don't discover it.
I think so many people, and I'm going to say women especially, because we all have girlfriends that are probably saying the same thing. Like, how did you do that? How did you figure that out? How did you take the next step? And I always say, start with joy.
Yes.
What brings you joy? right?
Yes.
Joyful life is super important. And if you're happy about what you're doing, as I say, you never work a day in your life, right? And look at you. I mean, you're so happy about what you're doing. It is just clear.
I love it.
You love it.
I mean, I wrote down what I want to manifest in 2022. And it's interesting.
That's what I did.
Yeah. On 11/11, from then until the first of the year, you have to repeat these things because then you put it out in the universe, you get it in your brain, and it's part of your fiber, your core. And it's funny that you mentioned joy. That's my very first number one line is joy.
Yeah. Well, and the guidance that I was given and how I did it is I wrote down not what I wanted to do in terms of what job I wanted to do.
No, not a job.
But what I wanted my life to look like, how I wanted, what this project would bring to me. I want to be able to do something on a more global scale. I want to be able to do something that really brings me joy every day that doesn't feel. And when I made the list, I thought, well, I'm not going to find anything that's going to match all this, right? Because this is a pretty...
it's a big list.
And it was really maybe a month or two later that the idea of the podcast came to me. And I went back to my list and I said, boom, boom, boom. Oh, wow. This matches all of the things that I said I wanted in my life.
Exactly.
So it's funny when you start aligning your thinking, the universe delivers. It will start bringing the things to you.
It does. You have to put it down, set it out there. Who would have thought I'd be designing glasses from the Czech Republic? And yet, I have a champagne flute. Oh my God, it's so pretty. The champagne flute's coming. I just tweaked the red in the wine glass a little bit. And so I'm getting second sets of samples in. And I'm just thrilled. I love drinking wine and champagne. And so for me, it was a natural, but it's on my manifestation.
Yay, I love that. What's the best piece of advice someone gave you?
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Look at the totality of what you're afraid of. Recognize what's the worst could happen. The worst could happen is someone says no.
Right.
That's the worst thing that can happen is someone can say no to you.
Right.
But what if they didn't? What if they didn't say no? Just step off that ledge.
Yes.
Somebody told me that ages ago, and that's 65. It's what I did.
And look at you now. There you go. And not to say that there weren't probably stumbling blocks along the way or setbacks, but
it's not that everything's not easy. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. If it was, everybody do it.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. It's a lot of work every day, but back to the joy, back to the, you know what? If I did that, then I can do that.
Yeah.
And it's just putting one foot in front of the other. And I think that's the best advice that somebody gave me a long time ago. I just didn't know how I was going to incorporate that.
Well, and you came from the restaurant industry where you had a very successful career. And most people wouldn't change. They'd say, I got this down. I know how to do this. I'm making money. You just keep plodding through. What gave you the courage to just, leave what you had been doing and venture into a new area? I mean, was there something that just said it's okay?
There were so many minutes around that 2015 final sale of that restaurant, the last restaurant. Like I said, I'd gotten a divorce after 39 years. My kids were old enough, right?
Yes.
They're not old, but they're old enough. And although the baby will always be the baby.
That's just the way it works.
I told him and he said,
yeah.
And I've always worked. Since I was 12, I've worked. And I knew I had to do something. I couldn't volunteer at the animal shelters because I'd be bringing home 25 dogs. And I live in a condo and I don't think they'd look kindly on that.
No.
And I'm not a lady who lunches. I like to say I'm a lady who eats lunch. God knows I eat, but I don't do lunch.
Yeah, it's not what you get your joy out of.
No. So I needed to find something to keep me busy because I'm a worker. I've worked always. Yeah. Something has to keep my brain engaged. And I just didn't know it, like I said, but my manager looked at me and she went, I got it. you just have to believe it. See, back then I didn't believe it. You just have to believe it and it will happen.
Yeah. And it was funny because coming out of the restaurant industry and loving entertaining so much, you would have thought maybe catering would have been another.
Oh God. Well, see, I'm not a chef.
Okay.
I'll tell you what tastes good. You will not starve at my home. I'll tell you if something needs more salt. But I'm not a chef. So catering, and I'd seen so much catering over the 20 years because the farm did that. I know the chaos that occurs. And I know the crazy that can happen when the hostess forgot that she needed 6 platters and 5 serving forks. And I didn't want to do that. It's not fun. There's no joy in that.
Right. So in addition to the wine glasses that you've got coming out, tell me what else do you have in the works?
After the wine glasses, I have a charcuterie board that I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Well, and everybody needs one of those.
Everybody.
And I love when they're beautiful so that you can actually keep them out because sometimes they're hard to store.
They're because shapes are weird or whatever. Yeah. And, charcuterie boards aren't just for meat and cheese. You can throw fruit on them and all kinds of things. So they're a very useful little item. And they go well with my wine glasses. And then after that, I want to do a really fabulous Italian woven, like a throw blanket in some really terrific fibers.
So
alpaca
you're going to really get into the products now. Are they going to be named after you?
Well, they'll have my mark on it. It'll all be by Fran Berger.
Oh my gosh.
So I was not, somebody said, well, why isn't your face on the cover of the book? And I said, well, my name's on the cover of the book.
Yeah.
It's big enough.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Wyland just gave me his book and his face is right on the cover.
Well, right. Maybe volume 2, my face will be on the cover. 2, I don't know.
Yeah. It'll be you holding the picture.
Right. Exactly.
So, and where are these products going to be sold?
On my website, franberger.com.
Okay.
For now, if somebody wants to purchase them wholesale, we'll work on that. I'm happy to sell, you know.
Yeah. If people want to buy, find a way to sell is what
you bet it. You bet it.
Right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And you're in the midst of a book launch, so I hear you've been making lots of public appearances and
very exciting.
Well,
the launch, I'm so sorry you missed the launch.
I know, I'm sorry too. It was the worst day.
Party. I'm sorry. It was a great party. 200 people.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun.
Chris told me he was going.
He went. He was there. And like I said, we go back a lot of years. But it was really a great party. And ever since then, I've been in magazines just this week, I'm in 3.
Oh my gosh.
So we're all in a ramp up about the book. It's very fun. Very, very fun. It's a project that I love and believe in.
And is the website the best place to get the book?
The website is absolutely, unless you're in Beverly Hills, you can find it at Geary's.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of a nice little place to be.
Well, it's where we launched the book.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm upstairs.
Thank you so much, Fran. It's been so awesome having you here. I really appreciate all your guidance, and I'm going to be following you.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for including me.
Yes.
And do follow me. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Yep. The journey's full of joy.
There we go.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Delphine Circle. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free and it will help us keep these incredible interviews coming your way. Here are 2 other episodes you may enjoy. I'm Delphine. Welcome to my circle.